Here's a short little video of these bumpers that aren't registering well. So we're going to pop this open and try to get them fixed up. First take out all the magnetic parts and pieces, and then we need to use a small pry tool or a guitar pick, something to get underneath the plastic body. Pop off all these small tabs and the bit of glue around the controller body. Then we just need to break loose the control sticks and get them unscrewed. 6 T8 screws stand in our way of getting this controller taken care of, so let's pop them out. One's hiding underneath the warranty sticker. Then from the vibration motor body assembly, we can give it a little pop and pry and it'll come right on out. You can see it's depressing okay, but we're not getting a great click, and we certainly aren't getting it to register on the game. So I think the switch is faulty internally. Certainly makes life easier to unsolder these small leads and take off the vibration motors if you really need to, but these cables should go just so you don't heat them up too much as you're soldering. We just need to slide the motherboard and the daughter boards apart, and that should get this thing ready to be soldered. Of course, we got to take off this retaining clip. There's 2 little bracket tabs in the middle, and then on the sides there's some very small retaining edges that the bumper sits over and around, so you do want to make sure that you gently pry out and away as you're pulling up so that we can clear that little plastic tab. Otherwise you're going to snap it off and then you're screwed. That taken care of, there's 4 more T6 screws, and then we can get this PCB pulled out. I took my cables off here to make this a little bit safer, but once you're there, you just want to desolder the old buttons, and then you should be able to pop them out. They do take quite a bit of heat, so it'd be helpful to have a large tip, if you know what I'm saying. Once that's done, we can slide in and press fit everything, make sure that it all slides in smoothly and sits incredibly flush. These have really tight tolerance, so you got to make sure that you have them in the right spot. I'll also let you know I accidentally used the Xbox One buttons, which do work. However, they're slightly taller, and so they need just a little bit of persuasion to fit nicely. But they slide right in. You can tack them in with some solder and clean up the joints. And then we're just going to reverse the step. Make sure these small cables get run back through their tracks and get ready to be inputted back onto the green PCB. Get all the buttons put back in first, and then the green button pad. And the little selector switch for your profiles needs to go on this side of the gray pad. Those 4 T6 screws need to go back in. I believe they're all the same length, so it shouldn't matter as long as you keep the sizes correct. Got to get that bumper gently pressed back into place. I recommend put it on one side first, and then the middle tabs, and then pray you don't snap off the little small bracket on the far side. Green board should slide right under the triggers and down the little poles. And then we got to press those small cables back in, but you got to be kind of careful with them because they tend to bend and not fit well if you push too hard. Always put things back the way you found them. So if you desoldered these, I'd recommend soldering them back in. Snap the back plate back in place after all of that, and then make sure you don't pinch off those little wires in there. And it should be about time to give it a test. Oh, those clicks feel nice. Even though I had to trim them down. Got to screw in the magnetic bases for the joysticks. One more time. T8 screws go back in, all 6 of them, and then we should be ready to put it on the monitor and give her a test. And there she is, looking nice, bumpers clicking and registering perfectly. And that's all. Game on!